You're going to hear the Democratic side. Congressman Steve Israel, the Democratic representative from New York, joins me, who's also the chairman of the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee. Congressman Israel, thanks so much for being with me. I'd just like to ask you off the bat, when we heard the president outlining that there is still a lot of work to do outside of even the budget, which we've all been so mired in for weeks on end, how do you think the president is going to be able to get Republicans on board for things like the Farm Bill, for immigration, for a budget deal, for tax reform? That's going to require a lot of conciliation, don't you think?
Well, there is nothing more motivating in this town than self-interest. And I hope that Republicans use this as an opportunity, as a teachable moment, that the American people are rejecting this intransigence, rejecting these irresponsible and reckless actions that inflict harm on our economy, and will come together. Ashleigh, let me give you a little bit of optimism, if I can, in this very pessimistic environment. A few years ago, a moderate Republican from Illinois and I, a moderate centrist Democrat from New York, started something called the House Center Aisle Caucus. We had 25 Democrats, 25 Republicans. We would meet at a Chinese restaurant on Capitol Hill because everybody likes inexpensive Chinese food. We would have a timer. We'd pick an issue, health care, 5 minutes to fight and 55 minutes to agree. Here's what we learned, and I think this is the way forward. Democrats and Republicans are going to disagree on 75% of the issues. That's okay. There's a reason I'm a Democrat. There's a reason that Republicans are Republicans. The problem with Washington is that we agree on the 25% in the balance. If we could just pass that 25%, America is 100% better off. What the president just said is Farm Bill, budget agreement, immigration reform, may not be 100%, but it will make us a much better country. So instead of immediately fighting over our differences, let's just get it done.
What I'm hearing you saying is that these wonderful, timer lunches that you had, that was a few years ago. And what a difference a few years can make. Because we've been careening from crisis to crisis for the last few years, and I don't think anybody's in the mood to have that kind of lunch today. What I'm asking you is, on the eve, I mean, we're not even 12 hours since the president signed this bill, and look, no one may be gloating over it, but this is a huge thumping for the Republicans. How are you expecting to get the Republicans on board? And I know that there is GOP support in the center-right for many of those things on the president's agenda, but you still have that far-right wing, and they still need to be dealt with. You still need to accommodate for them. How are you going to do that?
Well, in several ways. First of all, this was not a thumping for the Republican Party. This was a thumping for our economy. And I hope that these Republicans
I don't know.
put
Listen,
the
if the Speaker came out and actually said the words, Congressman, we fought the good fight and we lost, the Speaker articulated that in the media, on the radio, that's a loss, and that's painful.
Well, it is painful, but I'm less interested in the pain to the Speaker than I am the pain to the economy. What we need to do is find that middle ground. I will tell you that House Democrats have already demonstrated that we are ready, willing, and able to find that middle ground. We provided 100% of the votes last night to pass the bill. Virtually every Democrat voted to pass the Hurricane Sandy relief bill, where we can only find a few dozen Republicans. We passed the bill in the last fiscal crisis. We are ready, willing, and able to negotiate. We passed the Control Act, which reduced spending by over $1 trillion. So we're open to reasonable solutions and that middle ground, but we need some Republicans to meet us in the middle.
Congressman,
what happened to the House Center Aisle Caucus?
I hear you, and it sounds wonderful. And these, I hate to say it, become white noise, these platitudes, because whether it's you or whether it is a conservative I interview, you all say the same thing. You want peace on your terms. Here's the problem. As we get closer to midterms a year from now, well, you effectively want peace on your terms because both sides were very intransigent over the last several weeks and several months.
Sorry to disagree with you.
What I'm asking, though, but my question for you is, we are going to get even more sticky as it gets closer to the midterms a year from now. So how can I expect that come January 15th or come February 7th, the debt limit deadline, you're going to get any better at this when you're getting closer to election time?
Well, let me just, I do feel compelled to say we didn't ask for peace on our terms. We were willing to give them peace on their terms. We agreed with their own lower budget level, which was difficult for many Democrats to accept. But we accepted that we have divided government. We can't have it all our way. So you have one party in Congress that has consistently been willing to find that middle ground, to be reasonable. You have another party in Congress that consists of two parties. Those few left who are willing to find that middle ground, and the Tea Party that keeps tugging them to the right. There's two ways to solve this, Ashleigh. One is one side or the other has to win the Republican Civil War, so we know who to negotiate with. The other is House Democrats have to win the majority in 2014 so that we can move this country forward and not go from cliff to cliff. What happened to the House Center-Aisle Caucus in 2010? You're exactly right. Why isn't it still existing? Because in 2010, moderate Republicans lost their elections. Moderate Democrats got swept out by Tea Party fanatics. And ever since then, we've gone from cliff to cliff, crisis to crisis. Let's find that middle ground.
I think you make a good point. Elections and winning seats is a real way to get your way. Holding us all, well, basically holding the government hostage is not the best way, as we've learned. Congressman Steve Israel, I'm flat out of time. Thanks so much for being with us. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ashleigh.
Now get to work. Way to go.
Will do.
Okay. Other news.